Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. How are we getting on? Welcome back to episode 2 of Through the Keyhole. So the last episode went really well, which I was very pleased to see. Very much appreciate that. And I got quite a lot of feedback from you guys regarding whether or not you could submit your own builds for that. And for the moment, that's not something I'm doing. However, if you guys want to let me know in the comments below if you do want to do that, and if we get enough feedback, maybe we'll do that in future. And who knows, maybe we'll feature you guys in a subsequent episode, which would be very cool. So, as per usual, I want to state that with the exception of this building behind me right now, this is obviously not going to be on my builds. These are other players' builds that are found through the player vending system in Fallout 76. And the aim, as usual, is not to be overly critical. Obviously, there'll be a few opinions expressed, but it'd be interesting to see what you guys are doing, as usual. So, let's jump in and take a look, shall we? So, this first one is over in the forest region. It's sort of on the border between the forest and the Savage Divide. Quite a small one, a little on the square side. Players do reasonably well if he's got his decontamination arch there. Took me long enough, I only just got there. But I quite like some of the ideas of this. There's some very cool concepts. So as we move in, I like the alternating use of floor textures there between the light laminate and the dark orange shag carpet, which really could do with being a little bit more high res, but there we go. But that's a really cool look. I really like the way this has turned out. It's very cool. And the little room in the corner there helps to remove some of the boxiness from the build, which is quite cool. Not the biggest fan of the square builds myself, but they are functional, and I understand how the game kind of pushes you in that direction. Nice little crafting area out here. Nice and available for anybody who stops by to use the player vending to access. A little bit of decoration, some turrets up on the roof. Loving the Deathclaw privet hedge thing there. I can never remember the name of. Box hedge, that's the one. But it's still not the word I'm looking for. Yeah, small, simple, everything you need. Nicely decorated, very nicely decorated. Especially given some of the limitations we have with Fallout 76. And a very cool, snug little build. Nice little warm lights from the oil lamps there. Very homely, I like it a lot. Nice, simple build to start off with. We've got some crops here as well. All available. A little bit vulnerable, though that missile turret probably takes care of that quite well. On to the next one. So this one is very close to where I've previously built. It's by Twin Lakes. I know a lot of people like this area. Not the biggest fan of the metal tab, which has absolutely nothing to do with the person using it and everything to do with Bethesda, but there we go. But saying that, I am interested in using it. I haven't yet got it, but I'm interested in seeing what I can do with it. This is very heavily dominated by this particular build. Plenty of water purifiers out the back there. We'll take a swing around the front. Couple of entrances to this build. One just on the opposite corner where we started off. This way in, I'm not so keen on. I think this is the public entrance. Seems a bit strange to make that so hard to find, hiding it behind the rock, but up onto the roof. Pity it doesn't line up quite, and some of them are on right angles, but that's just my OCD kicking in a little bit, I think. Nice little room over here with some of the player vending in it. Nice friendly welcome sign there that I've been using as well. Well lit as well, which is cool. Good view out over the lake as well, that's cool. And a little more of an area up here with some crafting benches and a bit of a picnic vibe, which is cool with that rug down. Look at a nice place to hang out on a sunny Appalachian day. I really like that kind of vibe. Light's a bit random, but I guess it makes the stairs a bit more visible at night, which is cool. Nobody wants to fall down the stairs. And down to the inside, and there's some things I don't like, some things I do. A lot of it's down to the metal tab, but it's also quite narrow. Most of this place is only one floor piece wide, but they've managed to make it feel very there's a lot of stuff packed in here, in short. It's kind of cozy pack rat kind of a den in a way, I think, which is quite cool. It's very Fallout 76 in that regard. Not the biggest fan of the use of the bearskin rugs. I've used them a few times, but I'm going rapidly off. And I've placed quite a few items on them, which then end up looking like they're floating, which is not ideal. So that's just my feeling. I do like this little corridor down to the bedroom at the end there. Got a lot of character, that's very cool. I like the little circular rugs there leading the way, guiding you through the building. That's quite a cool little thing as well. Prefer to have a bit more space around the bed myself. There we go. One of the unfortunate things about the inside of these metal wall pieces is placing posters on them is a bit of a nightmare. They connect to the sheet metal rather than the posts on the inside. That is unfortunately the way of things. Something I would like to see updated in future. so that posters work a little better with some of the more textured walls. But there we go. All in all, a very Wasteland pack rat kind of a build, kind of cobbled together with the metal there, which is quite cool. Although obviously just the effect of the particular textures. So this one is down in the ash heap, which is somewhere I don't spend enough time, I think, and it's an interesting location. This I've picked for one particular reason. I'm not the biggest fan of the outside. It's a little square. The turret's been on the ground in some cases, things like that, and the random standalone foundations don't really do it for me. They are very functional, I'll give them that. That random tower out there is a bit odd. But I would personally like to see a little bit more of a mixture in it. Quite obviously, this was not built with me in mind, so there we go. But it's the wire across the door, things like that. Effective, but I would probably have either run the wire out of a window or use the wire glitch to put it through a doorway and then convert the door into a wall, so it's going through a headcanon-wise drilled hole through the wall, something like that. But it does work. Take a look at the inside, which, in contrast to the outside, I really, really do like the inside of this build. I really think they've done an awesome job with this. We've got a very narrow entranceway here with all the player vending crammed in, and this really is a case of cobbled together, I've grabbed everything I can find in the wasteland and dragged it home vibe, and it really, really works. It's very cramped. It's kind of a bit like a junk shop or an antique shop or something like that, in the sense, well, some of the ones I've been to anyway. Everything's just crammed in, and the aisles are made out of the furniture, and I really like that. It's separating it out using the workbenches and the stash box, I think works really, really well. It's quite cool. So I'm a massive fan of the vibe on the inside here. There's an interesting juxtaposition in the things they're doing, don't like about that. But there's some very, very cool ideas. I might have to try something small and more cramped myself at some point. Definitely maybe wonder what I can do in a really small space. Especially as some of my builds recently have gone big. And speaking of going big, this is the last one for this particular episode. This is a huge camp built out on the side of a cliff. Looks like it's been supported by the trees there, but it's kind of not. Although they are kind of incorporated in, which we'll see in a minute. Access is a little awkward. I'm wondering if it was something to do with the building mechanics, or they'd hit the build limit, possibly. Interesting, but maybe they were just trying to keep out the denizens of the wasteland, but it would certainly be effective in that way. But accessing this platform and going up the ladder, particularly seeing as at the time I didn't have marsupial and I was walking, was quite challenging. However, once you get up here, there's some really, really cool ideas. Not the biggest fan of using the mesh floors up here, I have to admit. Those heights, I'll give that a pass, thank you very much. But it's fine. AstroTurf on the inside gives it a bit of colour, which is quite cool. Love the internal brick walls, and turning around some of the brick walls to put the white surface on the outside and the brick on the inside. The mix and match with those two approaches creates a really interesting vibe that I like. You can sort of see it here. And you'll see it on the way back in as well. It's really, really quite cool. You see the top of a tree poking through the gap here, which obviously, being one of those big solid trees, the bulldozer feature won't get rid of those, so they have to work around it. They've incorporated it very, very nicely. I like that. Come around the corner, we've got somebody who's stopped by to visit the player vending here. I like the use of multiple levels here. It's something I've been trying to do, and it works really, really well in this build. Like this little bathroom cooking area combination down here that hangs off the bottom of the build is really, really nice. I like that a lot. Even though it's so open, it has a kind of unfinished vibe. It feels like it works. There's something about it just works. To coin the Todd Howard phrase. Lovely piano. And I really like coming behind the wall here to get in. A mixture of the rock face on the left and the player-built wall on the right to create that little entranceway. Something about that I like a lot. Not such a fan of the floating water purifiers, but you've got to do what you've got to do when it comes to builds on the side of a cliff like this sometimes. So I am sympathetic, even if it's not my cup of tea. Take a look at the bedroom up here. Little mezzanine vibe here. Although I would put railings on it, I kind of like that they didn't in a way. Quite cool. It really changes the vibe not having the railings there, which is interesting. I think with this gap on the right of the door frame there, they've just not been able to get a wall to snap in there, which is a little unfortunate. Possibly down to build limits. It's clearly a very big build, so hard to say exactly there. The floating foundation there is interesting. I'm curious how they've managed that. Possibly just it's actually connected to the cliff, I'm not sure, or the game thinks it is. Interesting. I'm impressed that the game's actually able to load this properly, to be honest. Given that obviously it's got to figure out where everything is, however the mechanics work behind that, the fact that they're able to pull off loading a build in this kind of style is quite impressive. Little flat area on the roof here. I'm guessing again because of the build limit there's nothing on here, otherwise like the rest it would probably be decorated. Come up to the roof. I'm not quite sure what they're doing here with the ramp foundation things at the top. My guess is either crenellations, sort of castle wall style, to stop things coming off the cliff top into the base there, or possibly something to do with making sure that other foundations will snap into place. I'm not sure. I'm thinking I'm leaning more towards crenellations, keep the bad guys out, but an interesting effect anyway. A cracking view from up here. Fantastic view over the Southern Savage Divide here. Yeah, not far from Twin Lakes, this one. So we will make our way down. Yeah, it's a very interesting build. Not something I'd have ever built, but I like it a lot. I like the internal walkway as well, even though you can't unfortunately access it. You sort of see it peeking through there. There we go, have a quick look at it. Now, it was a bit of an afterthought to come and double check this one, actually. A little bit of decoration up there, but you can't really get onto it, which is a little unfortunate, really, given that it's quite a cool little feature. There we go. So, thank you very much for watching, guys. I do hope you enjoyed that. If you did, you know what to do. Do let me know on whether or not you'd like to see an episode with your guys' submissions in it as well. I definitely appreciate the feedback on that. For now, thank you very much for watching. Do hit those buttons for me. It's always very, very much appreciated. Social media links should be popping up on screen around about now as well. So do catch up with me over there. Make sure you're dropping one of the live streams as well. We're having a lot of fun. So those will be returning next week. For now, thank you very much for watching, and I'll be speaking to you all very, very soon.